Hey everyone, Mike Lowe here, and we are live. We are in NBA 2K23. It's just a few minutes before the game's official release. And boy, we've been doing a lot of stuff here in the background. We're going to be doing a stream here that's really covering more just kind of like the simming behind the scenes, I guess. Not even sim gameplay per se. This is not going to be a gameplay stream. If you're looking for that, this is not the one. There are obviously tons of people out there doing gameplay streams and that sort of thing, but we're kind of doing a deep dive into the simulation engine, specifically with the eras and specifically what those look like over a really long period of time. In this particular instance, 40 years. We went from 1983 all the way to 2022. And at the very start, I want to show you, I've created a couple checkpoints that you can get to. So when you get the game, you can go all the way back out to show you. This is the home screen here. You can go into My NBA Eras, and then you can go into Shared Scenarios, and then obviously you'll need to click an open spot. And then in here, you're going to see there's 6 different versions of this that I have created. So it starts with just the original. There's nothing special about this one, just Magic versus Bird era that I created. And then what I did, starting in 1983 in the background while I was working today, I just simulated year after year after year. Just kind of walked to the room for a minute, hit next, and just keep going. That then took us all the way to the 1991 season. And then that we continued all the way to the 2002 season, which is when the Kobe era starts. The modern era, technically in this game, starts in the year 2010. You'll see that splash screen come on and that kind of thing, but that's only if you continue it from a previously, an earlier era. If you start at the modern era, that's like a traditional My NBA start. So anyway, we got all the way to the modern era, and then we continued that all the way to 2022, where I created a 5th and 6th scenario start point, which would have you start in the off season if you wanted to, or the regular season. Now, it needs to be said, starting in 1983, this league became its own. The 1984 draft is not an exact match. All of the transactions, the stats, the team records, and so on for 40 years are very, very different, right? Some players are the same. Like I think Jordan actually turned out to be on the Bulls in this. I remember seeing some other players that ended up on the exact same teams as they were in real life, but the vast majority are not. You're going to see things like Karl Malone on the Bulls with Jordan. You're going to see, just lots of other really unique, situations there, different MVPs, some dominant teams, and we're going to look at all of that right now. And so I'm actually going to jump to the very last one I have, which is the start of, let me go back into where my NBAs are. So we're going to go to the very end of the 2022 season, and the whole idea with this stream is just to answer questions. Let me know what you're curious about. I've kind of looked around a little bit at some of this stuff, not a ton. So again, this is a 2022 season, October 28th, day 1 of the 2022 season, but with essentially a completely different history starting since 1983. So 40 years of the players that you know and are familiar with, but the league has completely played out differently, right? I guess let's start with just looking at maybe team rosters. And specifically, we'll just kind of look at, who are the highest rated players here after importing all of the real life players year after year. And it's Russell Westbrook at the top as a 97 overall. And I'll just kind of click through and just let you look at some of these names and so on. And if there's questions you have as we go, go for it. If you're watching this after the stream has concluded, of course, you can ask questions. I've had questions coming in all day on YouTube and even some on Twitter. Which, by the way, at MikeLowe47, if you'd like to follow me there, thank you for that. But just tons of really, really good questions, and I've tried to get to as many as I can, but it's tough. There's just a ton. I mean, every time I look at my phone in between a break at work or something, I'd have like 50 or 60 notifications and questions and things like that. So again, these are the current rosters where it looks in 2022. Again, people all over the place. I'm going to keep stressing this because I know people are going to come in here and like, why is he back on why is Cat on New Orleans and that sort of thing. It's an alternate universe essentially. That's what's going on here. So if you look at kind of one of the things that stood out, and you'll see in a second, I guess it doesn't stand out too much, but if we look at the worst rated players in the league, they're kind of lower than I was expecting to see for guys who are actually in the league. This will be interesting when we look at what the developmental league, the G League, looks like, because there's some interesting things I see in the G League. It might be, it's certainly not a game breaker or anything, but probably the thing that stood out the most to me is what I actually saw with the G League. So I guess while I'm talking about that, let's just look. Again, everything else I've seen looks really, really good. So even though I'm kind of jumping into this thing that was kind of like maybe a red flag, I don't want it to deter you. You don't need to run out and cancel a pre-order or anything like that. To me, this is still pretty damn remarkable that this has held up so well. But here are the G League rosters. Now, again, there's no stats. I can't really see a ton of stuff here. And obviously I can click into every single player profile. But we're not going to go through every single player. What we're going to just look at here are a couple things. One, if I go to grades, we're going to look at potential. But even before potential, watch as I scroll through these. Watch the overalls and the right-hand side, 42, 43. I won't read these all. But these look very, very low. And every team, at least, I think I went through just about all of them, after 40 years have really, the G League's kind of pointless. Like, you might as well just have guys playing in the down the street in the neighborhood park or something. I mean, that guy looks amazing. So, I think this was, again, really one of the only red flags I saw. I don't even think that the potentials are like way out of whack or anything. I mean, there's some, in the Bs, like those look fine. But just for whatever reason, after 40 years, it's just kind of gone haywire. Now, who's to say that if 40 years from now, if someone's watching this video in real life and they say, well, the G League's trash, we don't even use it anymore, all the players became bad. So it's certainly possible. So I don't want people like, oh, the game's broken, it's screwed up. I don't necessarily know, A, if that's true, and B, if it even matters. I mean, we're talking about the G League here. So, it's not really the end of the world or anything, that these aren't looking too great here after 40 years. And again, I didn't monitor this as I was going through it. But yeah, these are, obviously looking pretty bad as far as overalls. But again, as we looked at the league rosters, there were some teams that were sporting players that were pretty bad. I mean, these are NBA rosters now. There are guys, there's at least one guy, 59, he's a free agent. So I guess these are all free agents, all right. So let's see where the first player is that's actually on a team. I'm assuming if I go too quick, I worry the logo might not update, but let's see. Hopefully it is. I did. I just saw that. I saw Luke Longley still in the G League, 53 years old. I didn't notice his age. I was just like, wait a second, Luke Longley's real. I should preface too, I'm not an NBA aficionado. Travis Best at 50. So if I mispronounce names or if I don't know where a guy is or some history, I probably know some more old school NBA names and stuff like that. I don't know every single name inside and out, especially some of the newer players and that sort of thing. So anyway, I'm just trying to see where the lowest. Okay, so there, our lowest player there looked like he was on the Bulls or something, or Indiana. So 67. So that's pretty in line with the standard roster. But yeah, the G League kind of falls apart after 40 years. And some of that might be because I was using all of and this very well may be the reason, right? So this is important to say. I was using all of the historical draft classes each year, and perhaps there's just not enough players that are getting generated with that. We already know there's fictional players in those real life draft classes because they don't have every single person, whether it's Reggie Miller or Charles Barkley or just a full-fledged, 60-person draft class or whatever. So that could be possible. So again, this is something that could just fix. If we did another 40 years with this, with fictional draft classes, it may very well fix itself. So again, that was one thing there. The league history stuff is freaking cool. This was wild. This was a wild ride. I don't even know where to begin. I guess let's look at these are NBA game records, right, within a season here, not season records or career. This is one game. So of course no one has beaten any of Wilt Chamberlain's record, 100 points scored in one game. No one beat that in this 40-year sim. If we look at field goals made, again, we're only looking for like 1984 or newer. 3 points made, we have a lot because, of course, there was no three-point line at one point in the NBA, so those are all from this particular sim universe here. Free throws made, we have quite a few. Wilt Chamberlain still leads, or at least is tied. And again, these are game records, right? Single game records, but all the rest of these actually happened in this particular sim. Rebounds, no one popped into the top rebounding there. Assists, we had just Magic. Magic Johnson makes the list, 29 assists in one game. He is sporting the retired jersey there for a player who's retired. Blocks, nobody. I don't think, because again, Mark Eaton, this would have been, or no, yeah, in a game. So this would have been in February 18th of 1980. No, okay, no, that must have been real life, because it would have been February of 84 would have been this first season. So let's see. John Stockton, 10 steals, breaks into the list. Paul George with 11. So, I mean, that's pretty cool, right? That, like, we did 40 years and only 2 times. It's not like this is just littered with guys who did this a week ago or something like this. I mean, this to me is a sign of like a really strong sim engine. Is it perfect? Probably not, right? What is? But this is cool that like only 2 games ever in this 40 years where someone cracked into this top 5 for most steals in a game. That's pretty remarkable. I'm sorry, I guess 3 times. I missed Jason Kidd there. So, but still, I mean, we still have Eddie George. We still have Larry Keenan, is that how you say his name? Who are in there still. Nobody's gotten the most minutes. That's interesting. Turnovers, Gary Payton. Again, you don't want to be on this list, but definitely some players here. Everyone but John Drew, basically. Total points we just saw. So now let's go. I'm not going to worry about playoff stats, but let's do season, and then we'll do career. So here's season, right? Most points in a season. Steph Curry in at 3. Gilbert Arenas, he might have been the best player in this 40-year sim. We'll see this in a second. But he was number 5. Dwayne Wade, at first I thought this was a glitch. I'm like, wait, he's on here 3 times. But again, these are seasons, right? So he had 3 seasons in a row leading the league in points. So pretty impressive career here for Dwayne Wade, just as he has in real life. Arenas is on there again, which we will see more of him shortly. Field goals made. Arenas again. And Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard had a nice career too. He won a bunch of championships. I'll show you. His name kept coming up as like Finals MVP, and I think he was with the Warriors mostly in this. 3 points made. Again, you're going to see all kinds of names here because it was a new rule, so we don't need to really go through that one too much. Free throws made. We get a couple from 84. Kenny Anderson in 96. Magic. Gilbert Arenas again. Moses Malone. Rebound. So rebounds, maybe you can make an argument that maybe rebounds are a little bit low just because we haven't had anyone crack this, or the game rebounds, or maybe you can make the argument that the sim engine distributes rebounds like too evenly amongst all starters or all players on the court. But again, pretty minor thing. I don't have any sort of quantitative evidence for that, or or quantitative evidence to support that. So let's see, assists. Magic's on there a couple times. John Stockton. Again, these are season records, right? So, 85, Magic set that record. He did it 2 years in a row. Lots of players here. Boris Simmons. Is that even a real person? I don't think so. Steve Nash had he also, I would say him and Arenas might have had the 2 best careers, especially when we're looking at like championships. Jordan as well. No surprise there. And we'll get to kind of the team stuff here in a little bit. Blocks again. I think we see some. So Tree Rollins wouldn't have been it. So we don't see anybody. So blocks and rebounding is kind of like the bigs. Maybe we're not getting enough like accurate sim stuff for big stats. Again, pretty minor. It's certainly not a deal breaker for me. Michael Williams, is that how you say it? It's spelled differently. My name is technically Michael, and that's not how I spell it. It's AEL, but I don't know if this is a real person or not. Apologies, guys. Like I said, I don't know every NBA player. Gary Payton is on there. So did we do minutes? I think we already saw. No. And again, no one's on this list for season minutes. Turnovers, I guess it's a good thing your name's off this list. And points per game we saw. So let's go to career now. So these are career points per game. Gilbert Arenas is there, number 2 at 28.4. Dwayne Wade in the top 5. There's Jordan. I mentioned Steve Nash was just ridiculous in this. And again, those ratings are like when they retired, I believe. Like, for instance, Kobe's a 76. Dominique Wilkins is on there. Kareem, Iverson. So again, not a huge surprise there. I don't really think we care about these percentages, but if you want to see those, you can always pause the video and go back and look. I will show you this because I did notice there was a year, where's he at? Arenas had like an absolute ridiculous free throw year. He had like almost 98% free throw percentage in a season. But of course, these are career numbers, but it was just, I did a double take when I saw it when he won the MVP that year. Rebounds per game. So again, this could be a clue here. I don't think we're seeing any guys pop up. Moses Malone, but again, he played a lot of his career before we started this, same thing with Kareem, but we don't have any like modern players. So you could say rebounds maybe needing a little bit of tweaking, 2K, if you're listening. Assists per game, Steve Nash, just ridiculous. Of course, John Stockton is not a surprise. Razor has a good question. Do you think any other sports game will implement this eras feature? They need to. And Razor, I can't see your full question here, but I think I get the gist. They need to. Other games need to get with it. Like 2K, I know that they take a lot of heat. They get a lot of attention. I mean, guys, a lot of people play this game worldwide. Not everyone plays Madden worldwide. NBA is worldwide, right? Basketball is worldwide. It's like FIFA. There's a lot of people who play this game. This game is bonkers good, especially this year. And I'm not a fanboy. I'm not I'm not a spokesperson for them. This game is put together well, and especially when we're considering its competition of Madden, MLB The Show, even NHL, which I think's had some nice strides in the last few years. I think FIFA is still a pretty good game. A lot of people knock it. Guys, this is the cream of the crop. This game, period, straight up for console sports gaming, and this edition too. I'm already pretty confident saying this looks to be the best one I've ever seen. Again, I'm not a huge gameplay fanboy. I don't lose sleep over the gameplay. There's going to be others who probably want to criticize this game and will shelf it in a week or something, but that's not me. So anyway, Razor, yeah, other to answer your question, yes, other gaming studios need to get to this. So here's Hakeem Olajuwon is up there, blocks per game for a career, and of course he was in here the whole time. Someone called out earlier how early in and again, here's a little small detail, Razor. When you first bring in Hakeem Olajuwon, his name's Akeem with an A, right? And I remember that as a kid, watching that and being like, wait a minute, his name changed. I don't know the story if his name changed or whatever it is, but somewhere along the lines it changed from Akeem to Hakeem. And that happens in this game. And someone saw that on an earlier stream. So it's good to see some blocks per game. Career, Alonzo Mourning, of course, Shaq, Kevin Garnett, David Robinson. So that's so cool. This is so cool. Just this replay thing. And I mentioned on an earlier stream today, it's not really my thing. I don't get into the whole classic rosters, and I'm not even a big roster person. I want to play the game. I don't really care if it's perfect. And but this was so fun just to go through and again see David Robinson pop up in a draft class, and it was just freaking cool. So again, just kind of go through some of these. I'm not going to commentate on all of this, but if you do want to see any of these, you can always pause the video later. I'll leave these on screen long enough so it's easy for you to pause and take a look. But again, these are career 50-point games. These are career stats. So Dwayne Wade at 31, Arenas. These two were just really, really good in the sim. Triple doubles. How cool that it records all of this stuff. I didn't even know this was here. I've never dug into this deeply. This is just awesome. Just crazy. So there's some stats. Now, what about teams, right? Let's do team history. Yeah, let's come back to this screen. Remind me to come back to that one. I want to show you something else I saw earlier. I'm just trying to remember where it is. Was it team records? No, so that's what we just looked at, but that's on the team level, so that's pretty cool. I looked at so many menus and I'm forgetting where I'm trying to get to now. Let's see, where was it? I'm trying to show you just some of the league history. And I literally saw it. There's so many menus. I'm getting myself lost. Okay, I think it was in here. Yeah, so trophy showcase. So this was kind of neat. So Larry O'Brien, they're every single team in this 40-year, including expansion teams, all of them won an NBA championship or Larry O'Brien trophy, except for 4 teams. 2 teams of those 4 won absolutely nothing, right? So there's some teams like here we have, what team is this? We're on Philadelphia. So they won an NBA championship, an Executive of the Year championship or trophy, 2 of those, right? So 2 Executives of the Year, 1 championship, which just happened just a few years ago. As I scroll over to Milwaukee, they won just a championship, right? Washington has won just a championship. By the way, if you're notice the teams are out of order alphabetically, just like it is when you add an expansion team in your My NBA, like a kind of a outside the like a fictional expansion team, they get kind of out of order alphabetically. That is happening here. A little bit of a bummer. Again, it's not like an immersion killer or anything, but it's just a little bit of a bummer. So anyway, Washington won a championship. Here's Chicago. Check out Chicago. 1 championship, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then Executives 2, 3, 4, 6. So what is that? 6 and 6. So Chicago, ridiculous. I think there may be one other team that had, kind of in this area, and I think maybe even beat them. I think it was Dallas, if I recall. Anyway, Cleveland won. 1 championship and a bunch of Executive of the Years. Boy, talk about a team that must have really kind of fallen apart in the playoffs. That's a bummer. Boston, 2 championships, 2 Executive of the Years. That's nice and balanced. Clippers, they won 2 and an Executive of the Year. So like the balance of this is really cool. Executive of the Year. So here's one of the teams that did not win a championship. Atlanta never won one. Utah never won one. Sacramento also never won, or no, I'm sorry, they did, yeah. So they won the one there, Executive of the Year, and that was back in 95, 96. I almost said the Giants. The Knicks won a championship, and the year before, the Executive of the Year. Lakers win 3 championships, so I mean, not bad, but when you consider the real-life Lakers, they won 3 championships in 40 years. People would consider that a disaster here in SoCal. Here's Dallas. So 3, 4, 5. So they won as many Executive of the Years as Chicago, but 1 less championship. So 5 championships for Dallas, 6 for Chicago. Chicago did have Michael Jordan, right? So we can put that out there. That was one of the rare times where they actually got the same player. Pretty cool. 1 championship for Brooklyn, 1 for Denver. Indianapolis had 1. Detroit, nothing. My poor Pistons won nothing. I kept watching them. They'd be like a 1 seed and they'd lose in game 7 of the first round. Like it was like heartbreaking, and I wasn't watching it too closely. I would just kind of watch to see what the Pistons were doing. And it was heartbreaking. They had so many. If I have time, we can go through and like maybe just look at their particular team history, because it's heartbreaking. And if you grab one of the scenarios that I created that I showed you at the start of this video, maybe that's the team you should try and take to the promised land, because it was sad. Their history is sad. Houston had nothing as well. So again, another team that's got a little bit of a sad history. San Antonio, 2 championships, 2 Executive of the Years. Phoenix, championship, 2 Executive of the Years. Oklahoma City / Seattle had 3 championships. Check this out, by the way. They won in 2007, 2008. That was the last year they were in Seattle. So I saw that and I shed a tear. I mean, could you imagine that? They were relocating and they win the championship that year. Like that happened in this particular sim. So 1 championship for Portland. Golden State had a few. Looks like they had 3? I thought they had more than that. It seemed like it, but 1 for Philadelphia. And are we at the end now? Yeah. So we've seen all the teams. So there's some team history. This was wild. This was really, really cool to see. Let's see, where were we at here? We were looking at more of the history stuff. Some of these menus get a little bit cumbersome. Where am I going here? So yeah, gosh, we were just there. See, so like we were literally looking at a menu. I want to see like that team history, and I'm just getting myself lost here. Give me a second, guys. Huh, I can't remember where the heck it was. We were just there too. swore it was like here, and I don't think portfolio. I mean, portfolio will show us some of this stuff. Let's see, executive of the year. So again, but this isn't going to show us complete history, but I can, just go through the different teams and we can see, because, the executives are changing and that kind of thing. And that was kind of fun to see. Like you can see level 17 here for AC Cummings. But like none of the, like I was just on the 76ers page the whole time I did this, right? That was the first team when I simulated all 40 years, it was there. And like I never, like you can see they're level 16 after 40 years. So it's not like you can just max all of this out. So I thought that was pretty cool. But I wanted to see, I had skills turned off. I just went into kind of the kind of the default. Lou J. Yeah, the 53 in the G League. I mean, 53 in the G League, you're like the MVP. I'm sorry, you're talking age. Yeah, the 53-year-old is ridiculous. But also 53 overall, you might be the best rated player in the G League after 40 years. But I talked about that a little earlier. I don't think that's like alarm bells just yet. I think that could be the game actually working right, and maybe just the historical draft classes not having enough depth to kind of populate those. I honestly think if we simmed another 10 years or something from this point on, I think the G League would start to repopulate with better players. That's my theory. Let's see. Gosh, there's a lot that we could look at. What else do we want to see? Again, we're 40 years from 1983 to 2022. We've looked at a lot of league history stuff. Oh yeah, here's where we were going. So team history, this is what I was looking for. So you can see some of the stuff here, retired numbers. Let me just go to the Pistons right now, because that's the team I'm most familiar with, and I'm just kind of curious. And you can see how the teams are just kind of out of order. They're just, I don't even know where I'm going. There's Pistons. So I'm looking. So Isaiah Thomas makes sense because he was already on the team. 41's Lambeer. I guess that makes sense. 6 is actually Bill Russell being retired across the league. I don't see, what am I trying to say? Like, you're going to see like Magic Johnson. Even in this one, you're going to see Michael Jordan's 23 retired, because he actually ended up on, what do you want to call it, on the Bulls in this, right? So just kind of flipping through here. So 23's there, obviously, but like you don't have Scottie Pippen, so this is all working. Again, a very common question I had was like, oh man, if I start in like 1983, is it going to have like, Scottie Pippen's number retired already? No, it doesn't. They did an amazing job. So again, going back to what Razor was saying, I wish other games, or do you think other games, would it be cool? Or I forget what you said, Razor, like, should they do this? Like, yeah, hell yeah. Like, they need to be doing this sort of stuff. Like, these Madden, I didn't buy Madden this year. I didn't buy MLB The Show. Like, legit, this is not, I'm not trying to prove a point. I didn't buy it because I have better things to do. Those games just are lame. They're just not that good anymore. And I'm just tired of it. Like, I literally haven't reinstalled Madden 21, and I've been playing like Madden 08 on PC and NFL 2K5. Those are better football games, period. Patched today, updated rosters, I don't care. But yeah, this stuff's so cool. And like, I'm not even like the biggest NBA fan. Like, you all here know way more about the NBA than me, and the players and stuff like that. But I love team building. I love kind of that like general manager role. And like this game, there's no better game for it, period. And I'm already planning to do like I think kind of like a GM like role playing stream, with anybody who's interested. I'll be getting that going probably this weekend. So I think it's gonna be really cool. What I want to flip through on this page is, a couple of things. I want to look to see if like the expansion teams picked up rivalries. And then I also want to see like the number of division titles versus like NBA championships. So if you look kind of in the middle of the screen, right? And just look for like really imbalance. Like, let's try to find like, here's like a good example. Cleveland was really unlucky. They won 15 division titles and only one championship. That sucks. That's a huge bummer. Their rival is the Golden State Warriors. Now, you could say that's from a real life. I don't know if the rivalries have updated. That kind of leads me to believe maybe that was based on real life, especially that they only played in 4 championships. And I don't know. I mean, maybe that's... I know the rivalries do change, though, in this game. Aren't they, like, organic? Like, or don't they, like, actually... like, they're not static, right? Like, they actually will change, I think, with, like, the history of your league. So I'm assuming that's happened here. What is LOSCY? Is that, like, a coach or an owner or something? But Celtics are a good team to look at. So you have Larry Bird there. Robert Parrish, and so on. Anyway, so let's keep looking here. So 5 division titles. I'm looking. Oh yeah, here's an Atlanta, 15 division titles, just 1 championship. But they went to they won the conference 9 times. Damn. Utah Jazz 6, but never even made it to a conference final. 21 division titles. They won the camp or yeah, wow. So the Lakers were crazy good. They just didn't pull it off in the finals. So 21 titles. They actually have more conference championship wins than they do division titles. Series wins, that is. And then 12 championships. That's wild. That's really crazy. You can see. Oh, if you back out of the screen. Oh yeah, look at the retired jersey. That's a good idea. Is it Scotter? Okay, cool. Let's see. There's Dallas, and I'm not going to pause on every team. I mean, some of these are kind of just they are what they are. 12 division titles, 1 championship for Denver. Pistons 8, 4. So they went to the finals 4 times. I think I'm reading that right. Like, yeah, conference championships. Right. It wasn't appearances. So, but 0 for 4. They're the Buffalo Bills. They even have the same colors of the of this particular 40-year sim window here. 8 division titles. I mean, 8 division titles isn't that's pretty bad for 40 years. Gosh. Especially they were around. Like, that's not like they're an expansion team. Oh my gosh, Pistons. Houston, I mean, they're an expansion team, but still. 3 division titles. San Antonio dominating their division. I mean, every other year, basically, winning it, but just 2 championships. "12 division titles, 11 times in the finals for the Warriors, 6 championships. Miami, 8 division titles, but only went to the finals once, but they won it. New Orleans, oh gosh, this might be the worst one. And again, I know they're an expansion team, but oof, that's pretty rough. Okay. Yeah, thanks, Taiwan. I'll check that out. We'll back out of here and look. So yeah, this is so cool. This is just so fun. And like, again, this isn't a stream. Like, I'm not even doing like game. We're not even doing gameplay right now. Like, I'll be doing that on my own. Like, you guys don't need to see me play this game. There are people way better than me. I'm average on a good day at this game. And I'm even considering doing like a coach dynasty, like a real GM thing where we can't even control the players and that kind of thing. So Showtime, I think was the person's name. I saw someone asking about like where are the eras. I've done a bunch of videos. They're on my channel, Showtime. They are. I did one for pretty much each era. There's one that kind of goes over like kind of what the mode is, and then there's one for the Jordan era, one for the Kobe era. I didn't make one for the modern era because that's kind of what this stream is just kind of like looking at what it all looks like. And by the way, the modern era, it'll always start in 2022, but technically the era itself starts in 2010. You just can't start there on your own, at least not yet. I hope they patch that. Because I have a lot of people ask they want to start in 2010, but you can start at 2022, or like if you were to start say in the Kobe era, which is like 2002, and if you just get through 8 years of that, it will transition into the modern era in 2010. So yeah, it's on my YouTube channel, Showtime. There's a bunch there. There are videos from today. I did some last night, and with the embargo, I had them posted at like 5 a.m. Pacific time, but I guess 8 o'clock Eastern. Did we see all the teams here? Philadelphia, 29 division titles, but just 4 championships. Gosh, they might have been the most dominant regular season team. 29 division titles. Wow. Out of 40 years. That's like, yeah, that's ridiculous. Okay, so I think we saw all of those. Okay, so let's go look at the retired jersey screen, which is what you guys were all showing here. So Gilbert Arenas, I wish I could pull up their player profiles here. He was sick. He was ridiculous. But again, what's cool is those different era scenarios I created, you can actually go in and look. I mean, I don't have every single year in there, but you can go in and just kind of see a lot of these players like as it's progressing, because I stopped at each era and I created like a scenario save point for y'all to go and grab. So, but yeah, so this is neat, right? It's retiring. Of course, this is all teams retired. Bill Russell, but David Robinson. So yeah, this is cool to see that, you know, it's obviously it doesn't have a real life. I mean, there are real life players, but they're players who actually played, you know, before we started this, right? So pretty cool to see. So Dominique Wilkin. Oh, yeah, he started. Never mind. Yeah, he was already on the team. Like I said, there were some players who did end up randomly on their real team. Not too many, though. And again, I'm going through these quick, but you can pause the video. There's Iverson on the Nuggets. Scottie Pippen. Dirk Nowitzki. Yeah, the Pistons just weren't that good. No offense to Dirk, but they just didn't really have a lot to write home about. Larry Johnson. Patrick Ewing on San Antonio. Yeah, really well. Jason Kidd was one of the players I saw end up on a similar team. I don't know if he spent his whole career there, but yeah, just really, really cool. Boy, tons of Trailblazers on this list. Garnett, did he have his number retired back here too? Yeah, so Garnett has his number retired. Number 9 with the Thunder, 21 with the Trailblazers. 95 to... Okay, cool. So it does actually show you the years they played for the team. So you can tell like who's played the actual full career. That's awesome. This is just ridiculous. Richard Hamilton, Alonzo Mourning. Oh, the poor Heat. One player, Sharif Abdur-Rahim. One player. Just 2 for the Pelicans. Again, they're an expansion team. So he cut them a little slack. Oh yeah, Shaquille O'Neal ended up on the Magic. I thought that was kind of cool. But he just played 8 years there, it looks like. Tim Duncan also played for the Timberwolves. Hakeem Olajuwon. Toronto had nobody. Kobe with the Grizzlies. Hornets, nobody. John Stockton. Gary Payton. I think that's all the teams, right? I think we've seen, yeah, I think we went through these all. Yao Ming, by the way, there's a fictional draft class I saw that had Yao Ming Jr. in it. It's ridiculous. If you haven't seen it on my Twitter, go check it out, at Mike Lowe 47. There's obviously created by 2K. It's like an Easter egg or something. But Yao Ming Jr., he's 250 pounds, 7'4", just looks like an absolute monster. Looks ridiculous. So, yeah, pretty wild there. All right, well, what else are we curious to see? We saw, rule change history. This is so neat, right? So, and I was showing these in the different streams, but you can go all the way back and look at the different rule changes. These are just rules, so this isn't talking about like all the jersey numbers and things like that. I'm not sure. What am I saying? The like rebranding of jerseys or floors that are changing, teams relocating. So you have all rules. That's all you have currently active. So pretty cool. Yao Ming Jr. is the future. He looked like beastly. Like it's got to be awesome. Showtime. What you're looking at here, we're in 2022. You can see in the top right, October 28th. But I started this with the Magic versus Bird, right? So we started in 1983 October, and I simulated 40 years while I was working today, just in the background. I just sit next to me with my controller, just advancing year after year. It took hours. I just sat there and just advanced when I was doing my stuff, and just kind of created a few save points. I only had it crash on me one time, so for those who are worried about that, it crashed once, and I only lost maybe like 2 years of work, so that wasn't too bad. And so that's what you're looking at here. And again, I created some save points. Let me back out and show you those again, because there's a lot more people here now. I created some scenarios that you can go in and grab, and this exact thing that we're looking at, you can grab this at different points, right? So if you go into shared scenarios, you just got to create a new, and then, there's a problem, blah, blah, blah. Let's see if we can get it to work here. It was working. You know what? I bet you it's just getting flooded right now because the game's out. Let's see. Well, anyway, they'd be here, and you can't miss them. I label them all the same, but there's 6 different versions of this. One for each of the 4 eras, and then 2 that take us all the way up to 2022. One's at the start of the off season if you wanted to like redo the 2022 draft class, and then one just that we're looking at now, which is the start of the 2022. So they're all here, right? So you can see these are the ones. So the first one has a date of 1983, then it's 1991, then it's 2002, which is the Kobe era. And then even though modern, it says modern technically starts in 2010, but that's only if you start from like a point back here, right? So technically there is a modern era, but you're not going to have accurate rosters and that kind of thing. And then let's see. Scott, I'm looking at your question. Can you rebrand a team? Yeah. So like, can you like maybe like future brand a team, like, maybe 10 years before they do it? I think you can. We can check that in just a second. So, and anyway, these 2 are just what I was saying. Like one is the start of the off season in August there. And then one is the start of, the regular season. Right. So, and those are all there. I think right now it's just I think their network's probably just getting completely overrun. And yeah, eras, unfortunately, it's not on current gen. I didn't know that. I've had a lot of people ask that today too. That's a bummer. This is PS5. It's a huge bummer. I don't know the story behind it. And it's a bummer because it's not like, I mean, people are looking for next gen consoles. They just can't get them, right? Like it's super unfair. Like I can't believe it's been this thing's been out for 2 years and people still can't find it. Like this, I remember like when PS2 came out, it was really hard to find. I remember like when the Nintendo Wii came out, it was really hard to find. But like this is entirely different. It's a bummer, and I don't know. I'm upset that like games are doing this where like they have different versions, and I like even PC people, especially PC sports gamers, are screwed. Like they have just bad everything right now. They're not getting anything. Like the Madden updates aren't there. It's a huge bummer. Taiwan, I can't quite see your whole question. When you give it a second, it might make the screen bigger. Can you show us the roster on your? Yeah, sorry. Let me pull up the app on my phone. I'll be able to see the comments easier. But that's a bummer. Like I was even thinking earlier, like I want to like do a giveaway this year. So like I want to try to like I actually find it fun. Like I got really lucky with the PS5. I was able to get one the day they came out, just randomly. I was following, and I highly recommend this, following those Twitter accounts that are like inventory checkers basically. And I couldn't sleep one night. It was like midnight and I was just on my phone, and like right at midnight I just got pinged that like, hey, Best Buy has these in stock. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding. And it was probably like a month before it came out, and I got one. So I got super lucky, but like it was fun. Like I like that hunt. I remember hunting for like Nintendo Wii's and PS2s, and I like had the idea earlier that like I want to go on the hunt and try to find a PS5 and like do like a giveaway or something. Like I think that'd be so cool. It's like a Christmas gift or something. I just think that'd be really, really fun. But again, the hardest part's just finding the damn thing. All right, let me pull up my video here, guys, so I can see the questions a little bit better. Yeah, so I see a lot of questions now. I think I'm missing a bunch of questions. Sorry, on the PS5, it's not showing me all the questions that come through, but a lot of questions about like rebranding. Can we add teams? We're gonna go and kind of break this a little bit and see what we can do. Can you show us the roster on your save? Yeah. So I mean, Taiwan, that's kind of what we were doing, or I guess I think we did it earlier. I didn't show all the teams. But we could do that. We can just kind of click through and I'll just kind of leave them on screen for a second. So the 76ers, again, a pretty dominant team. Rose and Durant. Is this even who's? Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Who's real? Yeah. So let's see. The Bucks. And again, I'm not going to comment on all these. I'll just let you take a look. Bulls have had a really nice run. It's so neat to like watch all the logos change automatically. And I saw a lot of people on my YouTube kind of, there was some arguing going on amongst some of y'all and saying like, oh, you could already do this stuff in the game. What's the big deal? And the counter argument, of course, is like, yeah, but it's all automatic now. Like, who has time to go through and do all this? And I completely agree with that latter statement of just like, it's awesome. It's so cool because like, yeah, doing a history thing, but if I have like the modern logo of a team and it's 1983, it's just not the same. And now the fact that they have like the gameplay that looks a certain way like that, it's sick. It's ridiculous. It's so cool. And it's just so fun. And so as soon as we get through these rosters, guys, we'll go and look at kind of like what we can do about like rebranding. Like, I mean, we can rebrand like to an older logo. We know we could do that. So I imagine, and I'll go to one of those older saves and we'll try to like, kind of break it, I guess, and just see what happens. So again, just going to start going through these a little bit quicker. I'll pause on the Lakers. I know a lot of Laker fans. Okay, let's see. But I mean, for 40 years, this held up pretty darn well. Like I said, the G League is the only thing, and I don't think that's a game engine problem. I think that's just a league population problem. I've talked about it a few times earlier in the stream if you missed it, but that's at least my theory. And Taiwan, if you were saying like the current rosters, that's another thing. I'm assuming you wanted to see from this save though. And again, this is after 40 years loading in the real life draft classes, just year by year, and just quick simming. Everything is on auto, so like the AI made trades, everything the league just kind of lived and breathed on its own. Steph Curry with Portland. Yeah, Kawhi Leonard had a really nice career so far. Boy, that's a pretty good combination there. But it gets pretty thin after that. LeBron James with Miami. Yeah, there was a few like things like that where you see them kind of end up on teams that they did play for. So that's kind of neat. Towns and D'Angelo Russell teammates here as well. That's cool. Yeah, right. Yeah, Jay, that's crazy. Simmons and Williamson, that's pretty cool. Gosh, this team's stacked. Wow. Trae Young with John Wall. Wow, how does that work? How long have these guys played? Like, I want to go back to that. Like, I'm just curious. Like, how long did they play? Like, did they pick up on the fact that like, hey, maybe we should trade one of these guys because they don't even have like a secondary position. Yeah, the Magic look ridiculous. So they've been teammates for. So he's been here since 19 and 20. They've been teammates for 2 full seasons. This is their 3rd full season as teammates together. Minutes played. Well, we can just kind of look at points. I mean, they're starting. Yeah, I mean, they're both getting playing time. Yeah, I don't know. I guess it works. They just kind of run 2 point guards. And 6'4" John Wall. I mean, he can play shooting guard. So, that's interesting. Let's see. Cousins. Wow, that's another good 1-2 punch there at this team. And Jamal Murray. So again, kind of neat, right? Just like in real life, like we have some stacked teams. Like Orlando and Memphis are stacked. 76ers were pretty stacked. But there's really good depth, and we kind of got a clue to that, and that's all of them there. So we kind of got a clue on that just when we looked at kind of the championship dispersion, right? Just how it was all kind of balanced between the teams, and we had a few teams that were kind of bad. And we had a few top end teams. So again, very similar to real life. Like we had some, we had literally the Bulls were kind of the Bulls and things like that. Yeah, Jay, that's a good idea. Let's do that. But let's do it. Let's get back to some of the other stuff people were asking about. So they wanted to see, like, can we go in? Oh, and I wanted to do it in a different. Yeah, I think simming this season would be fun. So, And that actually, yeah, that might be what I do. I might start with an actual 2022 season, but sim the first year and then like start with an expansion team. So if anybody's interested in kind of doing like a follow along with that, I want to do like a GM series where we probably just GM it. I'm going to have a different my GM or my NBA where I play all the games and just kind of go slowly. But there's one where I want to do like an actual GM career. So anyway, I think that could be a lot of fun. Let's just jump into the Kobe era here. And then let's see. So I have to familiarize myself. Like what team, you guys can help me with this. Like what team would be missing here? So we are now in the year 2002. If we go to NBA standings, and maybe it's better by division. So we got 7 teams. Oops. Well, here we can just, how many teams we got here? Oh my gosh. Okay. Oh man, you can't sort by number. So 29 teams. So who are we missing here, guys? Who is the last expansion team? Was it it's not Charlotte, was it? I can't remember who the last expansion team was, but well, anyway, I think what you guys wanted to do is like, so let's just say we wanted to update the Rockets, right? Bobcats. Okay, thank you. So let's scroll over, or whatever, like the Wizards. Here we have the Wizards. Let's just say we want to go in and adjust their logo. So you can do it. But right now I have the settings where like you have to like earn the trust of the team or so yeah, like you need to have a relationship. So it's here. I mean, you've seen this menu before. We don't need to go through and do all this, but if you have that stuff turned off, you can do that. So you'll be able to go redo your branding, arenas. What's interesting, I know like in the era system, like they will get new floor designs. I don't know if the arenas ever change, but that's something I'd actually like to see in future years too. Like I would like them to, and maybe they do. I haven't simmed in the future just yet, but like I'd like them to kind of like, hey, they're voting on like Memphis has a new floor they want to put in. Send us some designs, and you could either generate them or build them yourself, or certainly with jerseys and things like that. And like we get teams that can relocate and stuff like that. But I don't know if it happens automatically. Like I know expansion can happen if you kind of go in and set it up, right? So these are all the expansion teams that have come in. And again, these are, this is all automatically done. I didn't do any of this. This was just fast simming. I said it before, I think this Memphis Grizzlies logo is so freaking cool. When it was the Vancouver one especially, just super cool. Okay, so that kind of answers those questions, I think. So yeah, you have pretty much full editing capability still, however you want to do it. It's like you could bring in 1983, I guess you could technically have an expansion team called the, Charlotte Bobcats or whatever you'd want to do. So yeah, I think that's really cool. Let's go and sim the 2022 season and yeah, just kind of see and just kind of how it all shapes up, I guess. Now, there's a fictional draft class. I actually saw there are some draft classes already, but I'm kind of leery on trusting. Yeah, Joseph, exactly. So if you start in 83, you can put the Bobcats. That you can do whatever you want, basically. I don't know how that would kind of like let's just say you expanded to 36 teams or something in 1983. I don't know what happens when like a real life expansion team comes in. I don't know if it's going to break it or something. I don't know. You might want to give that a test run, just like do a test sim before you get too invested in something like that. I don't know. What was I just saying? We're going to do what? We're going to sim the year or something. Yeah. So, all right. Yeah. Oh, I was going to show you the draft class. So this is a fictional draft class because we're essentially out of actual draft classes now. Until someone makes one. And I did see some, so let's just see just for this. And when I uploaded this, I intentionally, when I did the scenario, I intentionally put a fictional draft class in because I just didn't want people bitching about oh, this draft class sucks. Of course it sucks. I didn't want to put one in that was made like the day the game came out. It's probably not going to be a very good draft class. So it is a fictional one. If you grab it, you may want to eventually load in a draft class. But let's see what's out there. Because I did see today, now that the servers are on, there were some in here. So here's a 2023, I believe, is it Philliams? his were good. If I recall last year, he's got a bunch, but again, like obviously, I don't think he has these kind of going just yet. But unless you can port them over from last year's game, I'm not sure. But anyway, I don't know, let's load this in. You guys will have to help me if this looks any good or not. I don't know. I don't watch a ton of college basketball, so if any of these guys, if this is looking legit, we can give it a shot. I mean, we'll give it a shot anyway and just see. They certainly look better than the generated one, so looks legit. Okay, cool. Well, there you go. So for this test run, we'll just go with that, and then yeah, let's just. I mean, I just simulated the season. This is all I was doing all day. I'll just kind of set this and then walk away from it and go do some work, check on it in 20 minutes. Okay, yeah, thanks Jay Smooth for confirming that. This game's fun though. I mean, I have played some games offline. Like I said, this isn't really the stream that I wanted to be doing that on. I figured there's already 3 billion streams of people mastering dribbling and everything else. I just wanted to kind of do a little bit of a under the hood work, so to speak, and just kind of stress test the game a little bit. I think for me to get big time investment in a game, I need to make sure it's going to work. As I mentioned earlier, there's a reason, and I'm not boycotting Madden or MLB The Show. I want to buy those games. I just don't think they're good. So like I'm not trying to prove a point. I'm not. I don't. There's nothing. There's no depth in this decision. I just don't think they're good games. When I want to play a baseball game, I usually play out of the park baseball, or I play Super Mega Baseball, which surprisingly is like an incredibly realistic game. Yeah, so D Factor, yeah, we did look at that. You can expand beyond. I don't know the number because yeah, it did kind of look filled up, right? You're right. Maybe we can't. Like they've already used that. That's a good call out. We'll check on that. I think what he was saying. And I'm assuming everyone's a he. Sorry if someone here is not. But I think what he was saying is like when the game adds in these Houston Rockets and Timberwolves and so on, these expansion teams, it fills up one of those expansion spots, which are finite. You don't have an infinite number of those. So what happens now if you want to add in like a Las Vegas or a Seattle? Can you? And it almost kind of seems like the answer is no, because it looked like those slots were filled. So that's something there. It's kind of like if you really ran one of these, you'd have to just be a little bit cautious, I guess, with that. Yeah, so I can comment on the All-Star games a little bit. I didn't see the actual games themselves, but I did notice like little detail work of like each year as I went through this, like the All-Star game logo was updated. So it'd be like, the 1999 All-Star game or whatever. So Kevin Durant wins. Yeah, exactly. Factor. Yeah, that's what I was saying there. We're saying the same thing. So Durant wins the MVP. Here are the award winners and whatnot, first team, everything, etc. At the end of the 2022 season. So again, not a huge surprise. Third team. I love how they've done like the player images here. Like you can tell like some of these are based on like real images. I mean, they're all obviously based on real images, but like some of them like are actual pictures. It seems like that have just been kind of like there's like some sort of like artistic filter on it or something. I just think these look awesome, and they kind of blend in with the fictional players a little bit. You can definitely tell the ones that are fictional, like they don't have that much detail. You know what draft classes actually look really good are the WNBA ones. If you haven't checked those out, and maybe they did last year, I didn't really dabble much with it last year, but the women draft classes look good. Like the models look really solid. They look really realistic. It was really cool. But I was gonna say that doesn't even look like Latrell Sprewell. Okay, so that's Latrell Sprewell Jr. That's cool. Yeah, so here's one. So like you can see how like that has like that what they used to call it. It used to be like a Photoshop effect, and this is like a way exaggerated version of it. But a posterization it used to be called, where it kind of like literally makes someone like you take a real picture and it kind of makes them look like a drawing. But like those are just really cool. But you can see there's a difference between that and this. Like this was, I think, because LeBron's one of the players that they kind of updated throughout the eras. That's why his is kind of like an actual fictional. I don't know if Jonathan Isaac's ever had like a face scan or anything. I'm not sure what he even looks like. But so anyway, it's kind of cool. Yeah, like render. Yeah, so like render is the process of kind of doing that, right? Like render is like the actual like render and build are almost like a similar word. So here are the rookies. And this was the last of the NBA 2K draft classes, right? So yeah, there's the award winners. We can go through the playoffs. It was cool to see the playoff brackets change throughout the years. Like it went from, it used to be three games. You only needed 3 wins in the first round, and then it expanded to you needed to win 4, and then it expanded to this like kind of play-in game and stuff, and that just all happened automatically. I mean, just it makes a big difference because again, I don't want to take the time to fiddle with all this and like go on Wikipedia and look up the rule changes. I mean, I do that a little bit for like NCAA football 14, or like when you're kind of moving conferences, if you're trying to do like a historical thing, and it's tedious. So like I spend like, like a couple hours trying to get that sorted, and it's just annoying. So it's way better to have this done. So to go back to what Razor was saying earlier, like should more studios be doing this sort of thing? Yeah. They should be following everything that 2K is doing with basketball. 2K, God, my number one sports gaming wish is for 2K to get back in the NFL game. And I do think they'll get into the college game at some point. I think college basketball is kind of a given. The very first thought I had when I loaded up the Jordan challenges, when they load you into that first UNC Georgetown game, I was just like, oh my gosh, like you can tell. And this is pure speculation, so please, this is. I just, the first thing that entered my mind was like, oh my God, they're working on a college basketball game. We just don't know it yet. Like it was just like there was just too much detail. There was too much going on. And it's like the whole, Grand Theft Auto, they work on games for years and that kind of thing without you knowing. It was that kind of vibe to it. And, just thought that was, yeah, I don't know. It got me excited. So it didn't simulate the finals for some reason. Suns win. So Colin Sexton gets the MVP. And that's the end of the year. Yeah, so we made it through that. Now that we did that, I'll pause here because I didn't know if there was something that we wanted to look at the end of the 2022 season. So I'll just kind of pause to see if anybody was looking for something in particular. But this is fun. I'm excited. I'm getting pumped to go and start my actual my NBA, and I'm just trying to think. I think right now what I want to do is start in 2022, but put it all on CPU controlled sim a year, start an expansion, start a streaming series, and just kind of go through the kind of the role of the GM, as I was saying earlier, and even just make it a sim, or we just watch the games kind of thing, and we can sit and talk, right? You could sit and watch your expansions, Sonics or Las Vegas, and watch your players kind of perform, watch the game plan go. We can have talks about if the coach is doing a good job, if we should fire him. I just think it'd be kind of neat. Yeah, like I said, there was a lot of parity with the teams that were winning, so not a huge surprise. There was something we were gonna do. I'm just scrolling through the chat here, and I probably won't go too much longer. It's starting to get a little bit late even here. It's 10 o'clock now where I'm at. Oh yeah, we wanted to look at the expansion. So I'm going to back out of this. I don't see any questions that were coming. Oh yeah, so do auto-generated get, well, shoot. Well, we can check that pretty easily. But we'll back out. Do they get auto-generated tattoos? Wasn't that in last year? I know that was such a big issue in years past. So let's go load one of these up again. Well, let's go to that last one. So the start of the 2022, and let's just say, like we normally would at the start here, we want to go in and create an expansion team. I don't think we're going to be able to, because these slots are all taken. Yeah, and so this is what Yeah, some of you were talking about there. So that's one bummer. Like if I hit select, do you want to submit this team? Oh, wow. So yeah, you'd have to contract. But that's weird because like you can technically go to 36 teams if you start with 30, but if you do kind of one of the playthroughs, you can't. So it's like I guess you need to start after that last expansion team comes in. You need to make sure that you've left yourself at least a little space, right? I mean, I don't know if you all always put, 6 different teams in. One of the other cool things I saw was like the division structure was changing as I went through it. So they were, it said something, and I forget what it was, but like they went to, instead of whatever it was, I don't know, 2 divisions in a conference or something, they expanded it to 4, it said, or something like that. But they were changing the actual structure. And so again, like that's something that drives me crazy in, say, Madden, right? Where you can do one of their stupid cookie cutter teams that they've had for like 50 years. And you can do one of those expansion teams, but then let's just say you move like, I don't know, let's say you move, the LA Rams or whatever. You're going to move the LA Rams to London. Well, they're still going to play in the NFC West. Like you can't reorganize. You can't even do it manually, let alone the team doing it. And this game's smart enough that the team will, as you move teams around, you've seen this probably before, it will intelligently move them to geographically, accurate divisions, which is just awesome. So super cool. So let's see. Yeah, maybe, Factor, maybe it is like something you could league vote on, but I don't know. With those slots being filled, I'm not trying to be pessimistic. I would be surprised if that's the case. All right, so we wanted to look at generated classes. So let's look at the tattoos real quick. I got to show you one of the, and maybe this was in last year, but look how good these look. Like the player models just generate so much better for the women. Like these look really good. And I don't know, maybe it's just me. It just looks more realistic. Maybe it's the hair or something. I don't know. They just look more put together. I mean, you can tell it's obviously like the same like generator, like, it's using kind of the same system, obviously, but just really, really cool. I mean, again, the fact that this is even in the game, just awesome. Actually makes me want to like start like a WNBA career. One of the things I'd like to see this game do, I wish you could start where like you could run both these leagues at the same time. So like if you really wanted like a huge like general manager challenge, you start off as the general manager in the WNBA and maybe you try to work your way to the NBA or something like that. That'd be really cool. Yeah, so Scotter, I hope I'm saying your name right, or Scoter. That's a really good question. He says, what would happen if you move the Lakers to Toronto in '83, rebrand to the Raptors? Would the Raptors still come into existence? I would think so, but let's check. That's a good question. I want to see that. Let's just look for a couple tattoos here really quick. I thought these were in already though. So let's see. Oh, yeah. I mean, there's tattoos there. I'm not going to be the judge on how they look or anything. You're talking to someone who has no tattoos, no interest in getting a tattoo. But I mean, I don't know. They're there. I'll take it. I don't not watch basketball because I don't like the player's tattoo. And again, not every player has it, so I don't know. This works for me. I think it's cool to even have accessories and stuff like that. This game's just so good. It's so good. Yeah, I don't know. They look solid to me, guys. But I'm also not somebody, like, I don't scrutinize over equipment and stuff. And I like to see the possibility of vetoing the Seattle move. Oh, yeah. You can definitely do that. Yeah, you can definitely do that. So let's try that. Let's load up my just because these are quicker to load than starting a new one. So let's just load up that 1983 one, and we won't save this. And again, there's a scenario for this. You can do all this yourself too when you get the game here. So let's right away at where are we at? We're in October of '83. So this is like a brand new era, day one. All the rosters are accurate at this point, and all the teams are. So let's expand. So here are our 6 spots. And I wonder if it'll like block us from doing this. Nope. Okay, so pre-built isn't what we want because that's one of like the really ugly, stupid ones that they make. Let's see. Yeah, Seattle. I don't know. I get what the NBA is doing. NHL tries to do it. Like they try to find like niche markets, like Oklahoma City. And when my wife and I were living in Austin, Texas for a while, there was a lot of talk about like, oh, Austin should get a team, and like they got an MLS team, and it's like some of those niche markets where there's not as much competition. Say in like a New York or in LA, where a lot of people just don't really give a damn because they're doing other stuff. Anyway, where would I even go to? Oh yeah, so I'd create my own, but we're gonna technically, make them as the what do we say, Toronto or something? So let's see. No, come on, presets or NBA historic. So there's historic, but yeah, that's just okay. Yeah, so here we go. Here's Toronto, sure. And then just to what year did Toronto come into the league though? Like I don't want to have this take too long to like get to this, But you have to think too, like just how programming works. Like this game doesn't understand what this logo is. I mean, unless they've like blocked it by like the name of the logo file that they use or whatever. But I mean, my guess is that like it doesn't, the game doesn't understand what Toronto is. It doesn't understand what the Raptors logo is and that kind of thing. So I would think you just have 2 of these, and they might even be in different cities or whatever. But okay, so 95. Yeah, so we're gonna maybe we shouldn't. Let's see. No, let's do the Jordan one then, right? Because then we can. That's only a few years out, and that might have to be something I do on another stream, guys, because it is getting kind of late. But I'm really curious too. I'm looking at some other ones that we could do real quickly because I'm gonna probably start wrapping this up. But I think that's an awesome question. It's getting a little bit late. Oh yeah, the Magic or Heat. Okay, yeah. Yeah, vetoing the move for sure. Yeah. Yeah, New Jersey moving was interesting. I mean, even the fact the NFL's got, there's only one team in the NFL that actually plays in the state of New York, and that's Buffalo, right? The other 2 play in New Jersey. So just bizarre. Okay. Oh yeah, and you were saying to actually like relocate the Lakers to Toronto. Yeah, like would Toronto have 2 teams? Those are super good questions. I'm actually really curious if anybody here tries that, post or like find like message me on Twitter or something. I'm really curious just to know, even just from like a game development standpoint. I'm just curious how the game would handle that. I don't think it's gonna break. I think worst case scenario, you'd have 2 Toronto Raptor teams, one probably, and they'd probably be in the same division even. And I don't know, that's almost kind of neat in a way because again, I mean, not that you'd have 2 Toronto Raptors, but like having 2 teams in the same city. I mean, we see that in baseball, we see it in football. We see it in European soccer or football all the time, and those are some of the best rivalries. Atletico Madrid, Real Madrid, that kind of thing. I mean, that happens all the time. So pretty cool. Okay, I think I'm gonna wrap it up there, guys. I super appreciate you guys coming in and checking this out and for checking out the other videos. But let's keep doing this. Let's keep getting together and just really kind of stress testing this game a little bit, but also having some fun with it, which is where I'm starting to transition to this weekend with the game, is to actually have some fun with it as opposed to just kind of doing some grunt work with it. I didn't even get into some of the other stuff that I was seeing. Like, you look at the profit margins on these teams, and this is an 83, but, as I started to go through, some of these teams here at the very end of this after 40 years, I mean, it held up okay. I didn't really see anything that was disastrous, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but whoops, no, gosh, come on. And I was seeing things fluctuate. So like what I was looking for is like, oh geez, is morale gonna like go up to 100 and never come back down? and things like that? Or is like the budget just going to continue just to go up, 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 which it kind of did, but that's realistic. Of course, the budget's going to be more 40 years later. I mean, the money's different. The contracts are different. And speaking of, that's not something we looked at. Let's see who the highest paid player in the league is, right? That's extensions. Well, this gives us an idea. Yeah, so I mean, they're in line. They're in line with the players overall, I would say. So yeah, and again, we were looking at like Magic Johnson was making $2 million or something when we started. So that's pretty cool. But look at the bottom of the screen there. So profit margin, and chemistry, fan interest. A lot of these were 100, but you can make an argument that, I don't like to see this is also the start of the season, so I don't know. I know they fluctuate because I would see them, but they all were always kind of hovering around like 96, 97%. I guess the league has just gotten really popular. It's 100% fan interest all across the board. So maybe that's something that I would maybe try to make a little bit more challenging. I don't know if there's a slider that controls that, but that might be nice. Chemistry is, again, kind of all over the board. Profits are really high, but, you have a team like the 76ers, who we saw were super successful, right? They were very good. More than $500 million here. And then you have a team that can barely make their payroll, basically, 23 million. So, just kind of all over the place. But, and I was seeing those fluctuate. 18 million. That's really wild. So that seems to be working well. Fan interest is kind of the only thing. And I don't know, maybe it's opening day. Everyone was excited for opening night. It's hard to say, but yeah, just really cool. I like that none of the GMs are even like beyond like level 17, 16, that kind of thing. They were being switched out. That we don't have the same GM for 40 years. So again, pretty realistic. But okay, guys, that's it. I'm going to wrap it up there, but I appreciate you guys checking out the stream. Yeah, go ahead and follow the channel if you'd like. I'll be doing some more of this, especially because I didn't get Madden this year. I didn't get MLB The Show. I'm going to be focusing more on NBA this year for sure. And I'm on Twitter at MikeLowe47, but I appreciate you guys. Have a great weekend. Hope you enjoyed the game, and we will talk soon.